Welcome to the Louie Herron podcast, where I'm going deep into business, sales, leadership, and life. And I mean life, from the boardroom to the bedroom, from business acquisitions to personal addictions, from being saved yet still feeling like a slave, from manning up to mousing out, dealing with divinity to reality. This podcast is dedicated to growth, learning, inspiration, and healing. Jump in, hang on, and hang out. You'll never know which topic I'll tackle next. But one thing's for certain, I'm here to share my experiences, strengths, failures, and hope, all to help us live life at the highest level we can. What's going on, guys? Welcome in to the Louie Herron podcast, live from the Louie Herron studio. Well, it's not so much studio, it's actually my office, but nonetheless, we're going to get right into it. I hope everyone's had a phenomenal week. It's been a good week for me. It's been an interesting week, actually. A lot of things have happened during the course of the week. I'm sure you've experienced kind of some of the same. Today's podcast, I'm really just going to, I thought about some topic points, but then I thought to myself, you know what? I'm just going to DJ this thing. I'm going to kick it around with 4 or 5 different topic points that I think have value. It's so funny. I was kind of going through some things in my mind when we talk about business, sales, leadership, and life's lessons. And there's so many tie-ins. Man, I tell you, man, we've got to grow. We've got a responsibility to our families. We have a responsibility to ourselves. We have a responsibility to God, who gave us the ability to get up every single day and actually do some things and build some shit. Like we've got a responsibility. And I think it's important. Sometimes we get caught in our feelings and we get caught in certain circumstance or situations, and it completely derails where we're trying to go. And I think it's very, very important for all of us to slow down, stop a minute, and just reflect. Because what a man doesn't reflect, he often projects. I'm going to get into that a little bit because I think it's important for you to realize the power of reflection. One of the first topic points I wanted to talk about was kind of your morning routine. I want you to think about for a minute, when you get up every single day, what do you do? Like the first thing you do you grab your phone? Do you immediately walk over, start to brush your teeth? Do you go to the coffee maker and get you a cup of coffee? I want you to think, as you're listening to this right now, think about what do you do every day in the morning, the first 30 minutes you get up. Now, if you hit the snooze button 1 or 2 times, we already know we got a problem, right? Because we're starting our day telling the world no. Think about that for a moment. When you hit the snooze button, you're saying, hell no. You're saying to the world, you're saying to yourself, you're saying to your family, you're saying to God, no. It's time to get up. No, snooze. So I would definitely encourage you, set the alarm, keep the commitment and the integrity with yourself. And when that alarm goes off, you get up and go. You get up and get moving. But when you look at what you do every day, not that there's a right or wrong, I want to throw some things at you that I think are very, very important, that can help build you into the man, into the version of yourself that's yet to be seen, right? For us to change, things have to change. And if you're like me, there's many moments in my life where I just got caught in a rut. I got caught in a routine, and the routine that wasn't necessarily positive or wasn't necessarily fruitful. It wasn't really right or wrong. It wasn't really bad or good. It just was. But when it's not intentional, obviously, that can affect the way we play, the way we perform, the way we show up in the world, the way we do what we need to do. So think about that for a moment. How do you start your morning? So I want to bring a couple of questions to you. Number one, what do you say to yourself every morning? The power of your words, the self-talk, the conversation that you have with yourself every single morning. And of course, throughout the day, but more intentionally, what do you say to yourself in the morning when you get up? Or do you get up and go, shit, gosh, I'm achy. Oh, wow. Oh, man. Or do you get up with, man, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm ready to tear this day up. Now, I think all of us, if we're truthful, we all have moments where we're inspired, where a new job, new position, new goals, new month, new year, whatever the case may be, and we got a little more fervor than we normally do. But as the year goes on, as things start to develop, and look, we've got body, being, balance, and business, 4 core areas that we're always trying to chase, right? We're always trying to get better at. And we're talking about your body, your physical body, your mental body, the food you consume, what you choose to drink, if you choose to sedate yourself with stress, right? Your being, your spirituality, connection with God. What are you doing to grow, to enhance that? Is that growing? Is that getting better? I don't know. It's between you and you, right? Then you've got your balance, which is the relationships, the children, the spouse, right? And we know that's rocky. We know that can be beautiful, right? It's that ebb and flow, right? It's that come here and go away at the same time, right? It's those moments throughout the month. We don't understand what's going on. Things are going great, then they're not going great. But look, we're in control. And we have responsibility to handle our side of the street. That's all we really can do, right? And then lastly, your business, right? So what is the thing that you say to yourself every single day? I just need you to focus for a moment and say, what do I say to myself, right? Do you get up with positive affirmations? Do you have affirmations written down? Do you have affirmations recorded on your phone? Do you even think about putting an affirmation together? These are things that honestly sound petty, sound kind of like kooky and corny, but listen, I'd rather be rich and hokey than cool and poor any day of the week, right? So another question I asked, do you read something in the morning? Do you read something in the morning? Something positive? Is there anything that you choose that you can potentially read? Think about it. Answer the question for yourself and determine if there's an opportunity, if there's a gap between where you're currently at and the potential you have. Do you study anything? Is there any devotional time? Is there any faith time? Is there any prayer time? Is there any meditation time? Or are you so damn busy that you cut the clock so close between when you get up and when you got to be at work, you give yourself no margin? There's no time for that. I got no time for that. Well, listen, if you have no time for that, eventually that time will catch up to you and you will have no time for that because you will stress yourself out and not have the foundation stability that I think you really need. Lastly, the question I have for you is, do you write anything down? Right? I said it a moment ago, but a man that doesn't reflect will often project. If you don't take the time to journal or reflect upon the day that's upon you or the day that concluded yesterday, things that popped up, things that crop up, man, take 4, 5, 8 minutes to sit and just kind of document what happened. Why did I respond that way? What came up in me? Where is it coming from? Why did I do that again? How can I stop this? How can I work on this? How can I get better? How can I enhance this? How can I make this even better than what it is? I think it's super important. I'll give you a little insight of what I do. One of the statements that I read, this is in my book, Driven by Fire, which any of you guys can pick that up on Amazon. But I wrote the book in 2010, published it in 2016. Quite honestly, I was going through a divorce, and it was a pivotal moment for me. I sat on this book for 6 years. Shouldn't have, but I did. But one of the statements in the book that I have on a board that's in my home that I read every single morning, and then I also have it recorded on my phone, and I listen to it in the morning time as I'm on my way to where I'm going, or oftentimes before I go to bed. But here's what it says. Here's what it says. Maybe it resonates with you. I think it may. Here's how it goes. It says, I understand that everything in my life, good or bad, happens for a divine reason. There is no accidents. There is no happenstance. God has everything the way it is supposed to be in this present moment. I will accept the concept that things in life don't happen to me, but they happen through me. And most importantly, for me. No longer will I complain or be a bitch about circumstances because I realize that circumstances happen to all people. I'm not unique. Take my ego out of the equation. I'm no different than anyone else. I realize it's not what happens to me, but how I interpret it or perceive it, as well as how I handle it. Bad things happen to all people, not just good or bad, and all is an opportunity to make me stronger and develop good character for my own good. Circumstances that happen in my life, thank you, God, they are gifts and they should be appreciated. And I, Louie Herron, are committed to moving forward today. Now, again, I share that with you. That's a little intimate moment of what I do. That's just an example, guys, that I think you may want to step back, craft something together that suits and fits your needs of the conversation that you want to have with yourself. See, that's a conversation I want to have with myself. I want to have a conversation that's positive, that's encouraging, that reminds me that God's in control and that everything that happens to me is for a reason, and it's supposed to enhance my life and make me better. And thank you, God, for bringing every single scenario to me in every given moment. even the ones I don't understand, because you all know we can't connect dots while we're in it. It's only looking back a month later, 2 months later, we realize, oh, that was why that happened. Again, not an epiphany. You guys have heard that before. So talking about morning routines, obviously getting to the gym, obviously I think making your bed, I think little small disciplines, I think are huge. So let's go on to the next topic. So this is kind of off the radar a little bit, right? Nothing to do with the morning routine. This is something that has to do with a shoot that I did last Sunday. So I'm in Jacksonville, Florida last Sunday. And for whatever reason, of all days, it's 32 degrees. And we decide to film and shoot pictures at 8 in the morning till about 4 o'clock, 3:30 in the afternoon. And we were in downtown on the river where the wind was cutting right through me. But what was interesting is there was a couple things that I recognized about myself that I want to relay back that maybe you can learn something from as well, because I think I did as well. Found myself uncomfortable. And when I asked myself and I reflected and kind of wrote down, why did I feel uncomfortable? And I was really honest with myself. A couple things popped up. Number one, I was out of my environment. The elements were freezing. I was making excuses in my mind about content that I wanted to record. And I was trying to draw from all this stuff that was making me uncomfortable, giving me all these excuses. And so I had to calm myself down and stop making the excuses. And I had to start making some adjustments, right? I started to realize and figure out I'm not changing the weather. It's not going away. I'm here right now in this moment. It's game day. It's time to get it on. It's time to put my best foot forward while I'm here. I was also uncomfortable because here I am in my first kind of professional shoot. And quite honestly, guys, I'm not the fashionista. I'm not the most fashionable guy in the world, nor do I ever claim to be. And I was uncomfortable about the clothes that I selected. Right? I don't have agents and this and that pick out and hand pick. So I'm trying to grasp what I'm going to wear. And quite honestly, it was another excuse. Who gives a damn what you're wearing? I mean, to a certain extent, I'm there to spread a message. I'm there to inspire men, to help men grow in their lives. Businessmen, guys that want to get better, they want to grow their business, acquire a business, buy a business. That was the whole intent of what I was doing. Who cares what I was wearing? The other thing that ran through my mind as I was doing the videos, the other thing that ran through my mind is, what are other people going to think? Now, you have to understand my perspective of where this nasty negative thought came from. This thought came from the fact that I am a 30-year automotive professional. I've owned 3 car dealerships. I've bought and sold a total of 4 with my independent used car lot. Bought them, liquidated them, sold them, right? So fairly decent transactions. Been in the industry for some time. And here I am venturing into this whole space of life coaching, working with men, changing people's lives, doing what I feel like God's called me to do. And I'm worried about what other people think. Now, why would I be worried? Do you know how many people have told me, and I think I shared this on one of the last podcasts when I talked to a couple of guys that I've known in the industry for years, and they're like, Louie, what the hell are you doing? Like, I see videos, I see this, I see that. Just, dude, go get a car dealership and do what you do, man. You know, you can buy a store, run a store. You know, that's your forte. And, you know, and I think some of those thoughts crept in my mind, but I had to overcome those, right? Because it doesn't matter what anyone thinks. And I think this is a pivotal point for all of you guys to realize as well. Who gives a damn what anybody thinks? Because the fact of the matter is, you have one crack at life, one shot at life. You have one opportunity in this lifetime to maximize and become the best version of what you think you are called to be. Now, that, to me personally, there's one thing between, having some fun, recreating, having some children and procreating, doing some deals, buying some businesses, and then life's over. I mean, that's what I'm put on this planet for. I struggle with that. And maybe you get that same nudge. Maybe you know that there's something inside of you that you're called to do that's more than just, working at the job you're working or doing what you're currently doing. I don't know. But I know that there's something inside all of us that drive us, right? And so again, me being uncomfortable at this shoot was about my fear, right? Thinking to myself, am I on the right path? Right, I'm in the middle. There was one shot. I was in front of a barbed wire fence, and we were doing a shot on bondage. And as I was doing these videos, this content, which by the way is off the cuff, right? There's no teleprompter, there's no script, it's just Louie, boom, action, go. They ask me, a question, and I answer the question and rip. So, and I remember there was one when I was sitting there and we were talking about bondage, and I was self-reflecting about the bondage that I've experienced in my life, bondage in my thinking, bondage in how I was feeling in certain times in my life. I'm literally having a conversation with myself while I'm speaking to the camera. Like, it was like a weird out-of-body experience. I don't know if you've ever had that where you've kind of felt that way. But the question in my mind is, man, dude, are you on the right path? And again, this is all that negative self-sabotage bullshit that we can put ourselves through, that when we know we're on the right path, we need to hold true to our beliefs, our convictions, get real, and just be raw with who we are and what we want to do. So I thought last Sunday's shoot was interesting because of, the question I posed to you is, are there moments where you feel uncomfortable, and where does that show up in your life? Are there moments where you feel that the consuming fear, and where does that show up in your life? Are there even moments where you question, what the hell am I doing, man? Am I on the right path? Like, where's this going? How long am I going to do this for? 2 more years, 5 more years? Because the reality is when those questions crop up, to me, that's your conscious. And your conscious to me is God speaking to you. That's God nudging you, man. That's what he's trying to get attention. So I thought last Sunday's shoot was pretty interesting to convey and share with you guys, in the sense that I learned a lot about myself in those 4 or 5 hours. And I wanted to share that with you. I want to talk about a coaching call that I was on. So I'm coaching some guys and trying to get them to understand some of the key characteristics of behavioral adjustment versus a paradigm shift. Right? Because if you think about when you're coaching guys, or guys want to get coaches or mentors, or people that they're trying to grow their business or become better humans, or whatever the case may be, they're constantly focusing on the behaviors. Right? I keep doing this. I can't stop doing this. I'm always doing this. This is what I always default to. And those things are real. But I think when you really take a step back, the real change is in the paradigm shift. See, because you have to understand, right? There's 2 parts of the brain, right? The conscious mind, the subconscious mind. Subconscious mind doesn't care what it takes in. It takes in everything, right? It takes in everything. And that's where the real programming takes place. The conscious mind is the logic. That's where we think we control things. That's where we can logically sift things through. And this is what gives us the fears, the worries, the anxieties, the knowledge, the smarts, the execution, some of the positives and some of the negatives, right? But the real shift is in the paradigm, because that's where the programming sets in. That's where you and I have this default programming, that karmic cul-de-sac, right? And it shows up in your marriages, right? Like the same shit. You're like, why are we doing this again? Why are we having this conversation again? Like, I know you know what I'm talking about. I know you've been there, right? This is programming, man. This is not behavioral adjustments. This is paradigm shifts. This is a deeper reflection and a deeper change to actually get a different outcome. I think the discipline in your daily routines is the key. Look, if you want to get out of the room of ordinary, you got to go through the door of discipline. There's no way around it. Like, if you want to get out of that room, right, of that karmic cul-de-sac, that same old, you have to go through the door of discipline. You've got to start changing and doing some things on the daily. We started out the podcast talking about your morning routine. Sounds silly. It's just a morning routine. What routine? I don't have a routine. Well, fucking get a routine. Get a routine. Get some discipline. Just by going to the gym 5 days a week, even when you don't feel like going, is creating discipline. It's changing the paradigm. Okay? So nobody's going to do your push-ups for you, man. No, there's nobody's going to do your push-ups. It's only you, and you can get those done. I think, again, when we talk about changing habits, when you change some habits, you start changing some paradigms. One of the things that I think is important, like even talking to this particular individual, if you're going to change a negative habit, the only way you're going to sustain that change of the negative habit is you got to replace that negative habit with a positive habit. If you just go to change a habit and don't replace it with anything, you're going to repeat the pattern. It's just the way it is. It's just how we're wired. I mean, you can't remove just a negative habit alone. Like, I'll give you an example. Guys that I talk to, that I work with, drinking, right? If you stop drinking, You say, I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to stop, I don't know, smoking weed or whatever vice you have that you know it's impeding your movement forward. If you don't replace it with something positive, I didn't say replace it, period. Right? You can get another addictive behavior, but you're going to have to replace it with something positive, right? That's why you see so many guys, and I don't think you got to go to AA the rest of your life and all that kind of stuff, like to stop drinking. But what I do say is, if you choose to stop drinking and you replace it by starting to go to meetings, that is a positive habit you are creating 3 days a week, 4 days a week. Some people do it daily, right? To offset. You've got to offset. So again, if we're going to change some of these things, we got to change that paradigm. So I've got a question for you that I want you to consider. What paradigm is currently holding you back right now? Think about it. What's the paradigm? What's the belief? What's the story that's stopping you from becoming more, achieving more, having more, doing more, and experiencing the life that you maybe visualize or want that's better than the current reality? You got to answer that question. Then I got another question for you. Without that paradigm, without that story, without that belief, what does life look like for you? How does that make you feel? If that paradigm was removed, how does your life change? And more importantly, how do you start showing up and feeling every single day? Remember, men, what a man doesn't reflect, he will often project. If you don't think I'm serious about taking the time to process certain questions, scenarios, and situations that arise, if you're too damn lazy, you can't get out a journal, you can't write stuff down and really start reflecting, all that's going to happen is you're going to end up projecting all your shit on somebody else. Okay? We do it. I've done it. It happens to everybody. Nobody's unique. So anyways, let's shift gears. Let's go to a coaching tip. That was a call that I was on. Here's a coaching tip that I thought was pretty interesting. Some of the stuff that I cover with some of my guys, I think is important. This one here is you gotta track with me so you can follow what I'm saying. And again, it's not a religious component, but definitely there's some spirituality connected to it. But I think there's value, and I think you'll understand. So the tip is, darkness is the access point to prosperity. Darkness is the access point to prosperity. The willingness to go deep in the dark so we can eventually actually see the light. You got to go dark. You got to get deep before you can actually discover the light. Now, from a religious component, I think God modeled this perfectly. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 through 5, it just says real simply, don't get caught up in the scripture, just get caught up in the principle. It says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was empty, formless, cloaked in darkness. Period. Stop right there. In the beginning, there was darkness. Darkness. And the Spirit of God was hovering over its surface. Then God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw that it was good. So it sounds silly, sounds simple. Think about it. In the beginning, there was darkness. God creates light and said it was good. That tells me that obviously we're going to have to experience some darkness in our lives to be able to experience some light, to experience some good. And to be real candid with you, the polarity between dark and light, the vast understanding and connection, right, between evil and good and dark and light and up and down and left and right and front and back and off and on, right? Polarity, right? The opposites. Listen, the opposite of darkness is light. Light is truth. The payday for men's life is in the pit, men, right? You got to get in the pit. You got to go deep and you got to go deep and get to it so we can shed the light on what the hell's really going on within us. It's not the surface, right? And we all have to go to that place. Listen, we don't all have to do there. I'm sorry. You know what? We don't all have to go there. The guys that want to go there, that want to pick up the pace and get better, the guys that want to shed the shit and the shackles and the bondage of the thinking and all the stuff that I've experienced, all the stuff that many of you experience, you're going to have to get to the ugly. You're going to have to get to the ugly. We avoid it. We lie about it. We run from it. but there's no mistaking that truth is light. And you got to understand this, in a world, and I say world, full of liars, the truth is a declaration of freaking war. The bottom line is we live in a world full of liars, man. I mean, look, we all lie. And the goal is to not lie. The goal is to be completely honest. And if you think about declaration of war, think about politics. When people start talking the truth in politics, people start exposing light in politics. What happens? Oh man, some people just mysteriously get missing. I mean, when people really start getting to the meat and the bones of what's really going on, think about the medical field, FDA, food administration, all this stuff when it comes to health, wellness, fitness. Look, we've got, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist in terms of the medical field. I can tell you I've learned so much over the last year that I believe in holistic doctors, holistic medicine, and I'm not talking about visiting with shamans and all that kind of. I'm not going that deep. What I'm saying to you is simply that regular medication, regular doctors treat symptoms, don't go to roots. We got to get to roots. We got to figure out the deep, dark roots of what's going on. I mean, again, in a world full of liars, the truth is a declaration of war. Look at religion. Look at faith. And most importantly, it's a declaration of war with ourselves. Forget politics. Forget anyone on the outside. Men, to be honest with ourselves on a daily basis, to discover the truth, we are at war with ourselves. And we're at war with telling the fucking truth. And telling your truth in your body, in your being and spirituality, in your relationships with your wife, with your spouse, and your kids, and your business. I just want you to think, how many lies do you tell yourself about your body? You look good, but really you don't look good? Come on, man. What are you telling yourself? Right? I'll get to the gym 3 days a week and you get there none. These are small, tiny chinks of lies, right? Same thing with relationships. What if you don't lie to your spouse of commission? Maybe there's omission. Maybe you didn't lie. I didn't lie to you. I just didn't tell you, right? We've all done it. But what you have to understand is where there's lies, there's darkness. And where there's darkness, there's no light. And what we're trying to get to is a place in our lives where we can authentically live with the truth. It brings me to this one scene with Eminem and 8 Mile. I don't know if you remember. I love that movie, 8 Mile, but Eminem's in the last battle with Future. And if you remember in the last battle of Future, Eminem goes first. He gets the crowd popping, and then next thing you know, he starts ragging on himself, talking about he lived in a trailer, talking about the other guys, screwed his girlfriend, talking about, what's he doing? He's exposing himself. What did he do? He took all the power away from Future. Right? Future couldn't even get the mic and go, right? He took all the power away. When you take all the power away from others is when truth is spoken, right? So when you're speaking the truth into the darkness and telling your truth, you're taking all the power and exposure because you've already done what you're supposed to do. So again, just remember, most men, most women, they're filled with lies. Don't feel bad. You're not unique. We all struggle and deal, but the goal is to, again, live authentically as we possibly can. Challenge and make amends to people that we're dishonest with. Be honest and own our shit. It's hard, but it's got to be done. If we don't, we stay in the darkness. All right, last thing, we're going to give you 5 choices in life. You got 5 choices in life, man. Listen, write this down. I know you may be driving, you may not be, but you got 5 choices. We're going to land this plane. We're done. We're over. Podcast is done. 5 choices in life. You got choice number 1. You can be bad. Choice number 2, you can be average. Choice number 3, you can be good. But then there are 2 more choices, 4 and 5. You can be excellent, or number 5, you can be elite. Now, when we're focusing on leadership, sales, business, who doesn't want to be excellent and elite? You want to be excellent and elite. That's why we're in business. That's why we're trying to sell. We're trying to be the best of the best of the best we can possibly be. What does it take to be excellent and, most importantly, be elite? Well, it takes 5 or 6 things. You got to have, number 1, intensity. I mean, unwavering, bite your freaking face off intensity with a work ethic that's solid, that a motor that doesn't quit. Number 2, you got to have a relentless focus. Focus, pinpoint, laser beam. Boop, I'm on it. I'm in it. I'm all about it. Number 3, you got to have a drive. You got to have a drive and determination that stems from a desire to want something so bad that it's almost obsessive to win, which gives you the commitment and the integrity to stay true to what you say you're going to do. The 4th one, you got to have passion. You got to have passion. What is passion? Passion's zeal, enthusiasm, excitement, right? You've got to find ways to create the passion that you need to move forward, to be excellent and elite. And then the last thing is you need to have high standards. When you say high standards, what we're talking about is you don't put up with bullshit. You don't placate somebody's shit, right? If you're a leader, if you're a business owner, there's a fine line between being a player's coach and accountability. All of us, myself included, even when I reflect back when I ran dealerships or owned dealerships, look, there were times, man, where I had the stud guy. I kind of overlooked some things every now and again, but that's not having a high standard. That's not being consistent. And as a leader, remember, people are always watching you. They're watching what you do and what you don't do. And things are going to crop up all the time where you're being viewed and watched. So keep those standards high. When you have the intensity, the focus, drive, commitment, passion, and high standards, what that leads to, it leads to the mindset, the skill set, and the habits needed to succeed. And when I talk about the mindset, skill sets, and habits, when I talk about being elite or being excellent, I'm talking about in your body, your mental health, your physical health and well-being, your being, which is your spirituality and connection to God, the balance, your relationship with your spouse, your queen, your children, which is every bit as important as anything we discuss, and then your business, your accountability and responsibility to grow your business, run your business, keep your business, reinvest in your business, acquire new businesses, and do the things you're supposed to do to create a legacy financially for your children's 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 children. So, guys, that was my DJ podcast. I would have had a specific topic, but for some reason my heart was leaning towards, you know what? I'm just going to kick it. We're going to end the podcast. Look, if those of you who have never heard me before, please share this with somebody. Those that have, thank you so much for listening and tuning in and leaving reviews. Guys, in this world, especially in the social platforms, when you leave me a review, man, it means so much. I really appreciate it. If you haven't left a review, please take the time to do so. If you have left one, thank you so much. And then also take the time to share this. There's got to be somebody you know, another man that you know that's like, you know what, dude, you need to hear this one today. You need to hear this one. This is going to get you fired up, get you going in the right direction, give you some guidance. And because in the end, what I want to do is I want to help others grow and get better and raise their capacity. And I want to make sure people are going to the next level, because the bottom line is all of us men have a lot of stuff that we deal with that's challenging. No one understands a man unless you're a man. No one understands the pressures unless you're us. I get it. If nobody's told you that they ain't loved you lately, your brother here loves you, man. You're doing a great job. Keep it going. You got what it takes. You got everything you need to be successful and make it happen. Until next week, guys, we'll see you on the Louie Herron podcast.